Hi, welcome. This is Amy Cooper with Rise, and we are doing our Exceptional Women in Insurance for Women's History Month interviews. And today I am pleased to be here with Krista Glenn. Welcome, Krista.
Thank you, Amy. I'm Krista. I am the EVP and Chief Claim Officer for Westfield Specialty. We are a specialty startup division of the Westfield Mutual Insurance Company that's based in Ohio. I am sitting here today in Alpharetta, which is where our office is.
Awesome. Well, happy to have you here. So we were actually just talking about this, and I know it's really hard, but how do you maintain work-life balance?
I have always tried to keep work-life balance in perspective. So what I have said to people, I'm a mom of two daughters. They are in their 20s now, but I have worked their whole lives. So I was always a working mom and I always worked full time. And what I've said to people is that at some point in my career, I realized that work-life balance was not achievable every day. So I have always said that there were days or weeks where I was a great mom and my kids were so happy with me and my employer was not. And then there were days where I was killing it at work and my kids were thinking I was absent without leave. And what I realized was the hardest part of work-life balance for me was putting the pressure on myself to try to be all things to all people every day. So I don't believe that it is possible to be 100% the best wife, the best mom, and the best worker all in the same period, day, week, month, whatever it is. But I've always said to people, if you cut yourself a break and realize that you're doing the best you can, and you are actually working as hard as you can and doing the best you can, and you have your priorities straight, you will find that balance, right? So when my kids really needed me, I was there for them. There were certain things that were just absolutely protected in my life. My daughters and I, every first day of school and last day of school, we had mommy daughter day. And I missed in 13 years of school for my kids, I missed one. Because I always did my best to protect that day because it was very important to me, important to them. And they talk about that kind of stuff. They don't talk about the fact that every once in a while when they were homesick, their Nana had to stay with them and they didn't love that. They don't talk about that. They don't really remember it. They remember that the key things were there. I feel like I did right by my kids and I feel like I did right by my job. But I think that the worst part of work-life balance is trying to achieve that every single minute of your life. It's too much pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah, I think we could all learn from that. And I like the idea of non-negotiables. I mean, really just like creating what's important to you.
Right.
So I know you're familiar with the Rise mentorship program, and then so how important is mentorship to you? Has it been in your career? Do you have any examples to share?
Sure. I will say that mentorship is important, especially if you find somebody that really knows you well, but is outside of your chain of command, but can speak a hard truth to you. So I will say that there is a woman that I worked with for a period of time. And at one point, she was the head of the entire group that I worked for. And then she moved into another job. But she and I had gotten along well and we remained connected. And there was at least two occasions where we had a sit down where she had to tell me a hard truth that I perhaps did not want to hear, but that was really good for me to hear. And the thing that was important about that was she knew me very well. She knew what I did and she knew where I worked. So she was able to give me feedback that was really important. I didn't love hearing it, but because I knew her and I knew that she had my best interests at heart, I knew that she didn't say something just to make me mad or upset me or to hurt my feelings. She was telling me because she had my best interests at heart. So I feel like if you have a mentor who knows you well, who understands your situation well, and is willing to speak a hard truth to you, that's really important. Now, she was really good about saying things that I was doing well too, which is fine. I mean, nice to hear and all, but the important part of mentorship is having the courage to tell your mentee something you know they don't want to hear, but you know they need to hear. It will make them better. And, at least the first time that she and I had one of those sit downs, I did not see it coming. And she said something to me that I did need to hear, but I didn't like it. And I was really mad. And I tried to explain and you don't understand. And what I realized after I had some time to process it was like, yeah, I needed to hear that. Listening to that feedback and adjusting, some of the things I'm doing is going to make me better and more effective. And it was, she told me because she cares. Right.
Yeah.
So that was really important to me. And I think finding those kind of mentors is really important. And as a mentee, you have to be open to that kind of feedback. somebody telling you how great you are all day is just lovely, but it doesn't help you. It's somebody giving you the hard truth that is the best for you. I do think also that sponsorship, knowing you have people who speak nicely about you when you're not in the room, is as important as mentorship for career development. I kind of personally look at it as mentorship helps you on your personal development and to be a better, more effective leader, person in the business, whatever it is. Whereas sponsorship may help you more to be a better effector, and have more of a career, like career development versus personal development, right? That's how I've always looked at it. So you want those people who are going to advocate for you when you're not around, but you also want somebody who's going to tell you the truth when you need to hear it, even if you don't want to.
It sounds like you're actually a really good mentee, being open to the feedback.
Yeah, I would say you have to take a breath, right? And you have to say like, okay, she's telling me this, or he's telling me this because I need to hear it because it's in my best interest. It doesn't mean it's not upsetting, but it's still something that's important.
So can you share a strategy or an approach, something that you've used for personal or professional development throughout your...
Yeah, sure. I would say honestly that being curious and being willing to learn is so important. And, especially if you're in the claims business, you get to learn about things that you had no idea you would ever be involved in. I mean, my family and I have a running joke that I'm an expert in all things that are unimportant but interesting at a cocktail party, right? So whether it's, I know a lot more about lung disease than anybody who isn't a doctor. I know a lot about movie sets and claims you might see on a movie set. I know a lot about working with monkeys on a movie set. These are all really weird things that you don't need to know in your life, but you have an opportunity to learn and to become expert in. And I think that it's really important, the bigger career you want to have, that you take those moments where you're in a room with people and somebody needs something done. Somebody has a project that needs to be done and it doesn't sound that exciting or maybe that interesting. Nobody's putting their hand up. Be the person who puts your hand up. I have felt that my career has by leaps and bounds improved when I was that person who put up their hand to take on a project that didn't sound all that great. It was just going to be work, but it showed that I was willing to put forth effort. I was willing to learn something new. I was willing to do something other people weren't willing to do. I would say big chunks in my career of movement happened when I was the person who put up their hand and developed some expertise or some knowledge in an area that nobody else felt like doing. And it's really helped me. And it's also kept the days interesting. If you're always curious and you're always wanting to learn and you always want to see something new and learn about something new, it makes the days go very quickly.
Yeah, that's actually really great advice. What other advice do you have maybe for someone who's just getting started in their career in insurance?
I would say own your choices. So personally, I said I'm a mom of two daughters. They're in their 20s now, but at one point they were 2 and 4, and I was trying to work full time, and it was hard. And there were points in my career where I talked about earlier, owning your choice, owning your what's important to you, own your choice. So there were times where my kids were little where they were sick a lot, and I might have had a lot more time out of the office than perhaps I should have. And there were people that were progressing a little bit faster than I was because, some of them, quite frankly, were men who had wives who were taking care of the sick babies. I was the wife taking care of the sick baby, right? So they were progressing a little faster than I was. But even when that was annoying or frustrating, or I felt like I was just as good as they were, just as smart as they were, I also had to understand that I was missing some time that they weren't, right? That I was having to prioritize 2 and 4-year-old that were sick all the time, as opposed to being at my desk every day. And that I had to own that choice of like, at the end of the day, that they are my priority. I work for them, frankly, right? And so if I'm going to be a little slower in my progression than people who don't have children or aren't married or have somebody else at home who's taking care of them, I have to be okay with that. So I got to a point where I was like, nope, I'm going to own my choice. My choice is to have these kids. My choice is that when they do really need me, I need to be there, and that may mean other people progress. And it's not about them, it's about me, right? So I own that choice. And there were other points in my career where if I chose not to do something and then later was like, oh, I should have done that. Well, I have to own that choice. I made that choice, right? I can't blame somebody else, or you should have told me something, or you should have made it clear to me what that meant. I made that choice. So I think that if you own your choices, especially early in your career, you kind of stop being why is that person getting something I'm not? Or what about that person? It's about me. It's not about them. So that's what I would say. And especially if you're going to be a working parent, it is hard when the kids are little. It is hard.
Yeah,
And yeah, and it doesn't, and I hate to tell you, and I hate to tell others, it doesn't get a whole lot easier until they're much older. And then it's, when they're young, they're sick a lot and you have to do everything for them. And there's just a physical burden of that. When they're older, bigger kids, bigger problems, right? There's I have 2 girls. There's a lot of crying in middle school. There's a lot of drama, high school, there's big things to do and big choices to make. So it doesn't go away just because they can feed themselves or, bathe themselves. It doesn't go away. It's bigger kids, bigger problems. But, my daughters now who are in the workforce don't talk about the things I might have missed or the things that they were, why can't you be a stay-at-home mommy? They don't, and they're both working and they both have the plan to do the same thing I did. So cut yourself a break, own your choices, know that in the long run, it'll all work out. Those are the things that I think helped me rather than beat myself up all the time that I wasn't being all things to all people.
That's really great. Can I ask you just like a bonus question of you now need to sell this, which you obviously have done a successful job to your girls who are following in your footsteps, but let's say you want to sell working in insurance to a young woman. Is there any, what would you say, or you have any advice?
Yeah, I think for me, this has been an amazing career. So I went to law school out of college. I have my law degree. I've never practiced. I never really wanted to practice. I'm one of those people who went to law school because I wasn't ready necessarily to be in the workforce and be a grown-up. So grad school was a good option. And this career has been great because I use that degree every single day. And it's been really important. But I, at the beginning of my career, did not have the kind of hours I would have had I been an associate. And so I was able to balance a little bit more having those young kids with my husband who was an associate and had to be in the office and had to be, FaceTime with the partners. So that was a good thing for me. And I don't know that there's as much of that nowadays as there was when my kids were babies, because we have a 24/7 world and everybody has a laptop and a cell phone and it never ends. But this career can be so fulfilling when you want to have some kind of balance in your life, and you can make time for your family and your job, and you can be very successful. It's not without effort though. I mean, nobody is going to come to you and hand you something that you have not worked for. I think you need to work really hard at everything you do. And I think that the reward for hard work is good things happen. So I would encourage people to get into this career because it's fascinating, because you will learn about all kinds of interesting things. The stuff that's in the newspapers is the stuff that'll be on your desk, and that's really neat. And it's what you make it. I mean, especially in claims, like the fact that you have the opportunity to interact with all kinds of people in all kinds of companies, all kinds of personal situations, that you can make their life a little bit better. That's really fulfilling too for people in claims. I've said this and I truly mean it, as corny as it might sound, Amy, but being in claims is a really noble business. Yeah. Anything that happened to that person or that company prior to them coming to us, we did not do, right? We did not burn down their house. We did not ruin their, some company that they've had. We've not done something terrible to them. They've been in a terrible situation and they come to us and we have the opportunity to make it a little bit better. Right. And that can be really fulfilling. And it's a very noble pursuit. So nobody, if you get into commercial kind of business and commercial claims, nobody will really in your neighborhood understand what you do. That's fine. You will have great stories though. And you will have an opportunity to meet a lot of really interesting people and do a lot of really interesting work. And that makes the days go by quickly. I've been in this business a really long time and it feels like it's been like that. So, every day flies by, the weeks fly by, the years fly by, and that's all good stuff. There's no boring days in this business.
Yeah, that's great. We get to serve people, come for the work-life balance, stay for the cocktail stories.
Yes. I love that. You should put that on a t-shirt. I would wear that.
Thank you so much, Krista, and thank you all for watching. Follow us for more interviews with exceptional women in insurance.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it.